You know, when a professional group like the Provincial Bar Council holds an election, you'd expect it to be a model of order and integrity, right? A real showcase of self-governance. But the recent elections, well, they told a very different story. One of utter chaos, disenfranchisement, and now a powerful, unified call for change. So let's get into it. Let's break down what went so wrong and why it matters so much. Just think about that for a second. What comes to mind? Probably something dignified, fair, accessible. An environment where every single lawyer can cast their vote safely, with respect. That's the ideal we all have in our heads. But the reality on the ground? It was something else entirely. A fish market. That quote just perfectly captures that jarring disconnect, doesn't it? And look, this isn't just one person's bad day. It's a feeling we heard from countless lawyers. The whole thing felt less like a professional proceeding and more like a battle for survival. Now, here's where the story gets even more focused. Look at who's speaking up. A huge majority of the lawyers who shared their feedback, 65% of them, were women. And that context is absolutely crucial because their experiences with harassment, with being systematically pushed aside, are really at the heart of this entire story. So, how in the world does a professional election turn into what someone called a total nightmare? Well, when you listen to the voters, the breakdown really boils down to three core failures. And it all starts with the environment itself. The first and maybe the most shocking failure was the physical environment. It wasn't just crowded. For so many people, it felt physically unsafe. It was an environment that stripped them of their professional dignity from the moment they arrived. And this quote right here gets to the absolute heart of it. This was not just a case of bad crowd control. We're talking about a pervasive atmosphere of harassment, where personal space was constantly violated, especially for women. It turned the simple act of voting into a genuine ordeal. Okay, so on top of the physical chaos, you had a complete and total collapse of logistics. We're talking systemic mismanagement, a severe lack of clear information, all of which created these impossible hurdles that literally stopped people from being able to vote. Can you just imagine that? This experience is the perfect example of that breakdown, wasting 3 hours of your day trying to navigate a system with zero guidance, only to be forced to just give up. And this wasn't some isolated incident. It was a depressingly common story of people being disenfranchised by sheer incompetence. And listen, this isn't just a feeling. The numbers back it up. A staggering 59%, nearly 60% of first-time voters said they felt completely unsupported and unfacilitated by the Bar Council. The very institution that's supposed to represent them couldn't even guide them through its own election. And if the physical chaos and the logistical nightmare weren't enough, we get to the third major failure, a profound, shocking violation of personal privacy. We're talking about lawyers' private data being shared without their consent, turning their personal phones and even their homes into campaign battlegrounds. I mean, this is just astonishing, isn't it? The non-consensual leak of home addresses, phone numbers, even CNIC numbers, it led to this infuriating barrage of unsolicited calls, texts, and WhatsApp messages. This wasn't just aggressive campaigning. It was a fundamental breach of trust by the very organization that's supposed to protect its members' data. So, as you can imagine, all these individual experiences of chaos and violation have now started to merge into something much bigger, a unified, loud, and urgent demand for systemic change. This isn't just about a few complaints anymore. It's a collective call for a complete overhaul of the system. And at the very center of this call for reform is one simple, powerful concept: dignity. The demand isn't just for a more efficient process. It's for an electoral system that actually honors the respect that is supposed to be inherent to the legal profession. This question just captures the mood perfectly. The community is saying that the system as it stands isn't just flawed, it's completely unsustainable. This election has become a clear turning point, forcing everyone to fundamentally rethink the entire process from the ground up. So, what does a better system actually look like? Well, the good news is that the lawyers themselves have provided a really clear and actionable blueprint for reform. Let's take a look at what they're actually proposing. The solutions they've put forward can really be broken down into three main pillars. First, and most importantly, guarantee safe access for every single voter. Second, modernize the whole outdated manual system. And third, put strict, serious protections in place for voter privacy. So let's unpack that a bit. To guarantee safety, voters are asking for concrete, common-sense measures. separate entrances in booths for women, clear codes of conduct with real penalties for candidates whose supporters harass people. These aren't abstract ideas. They are direct, practical solutions to the chaos we've been hearing about. Next up, modernization. The calls here are crystal clear. Replace the confusing, slow, manual process with things like biometric verification. Maybe even explore digital voting. And simple changes like banning campaigning on election day itself and providing forms in multiple languages would bring so much needed efficiency and transparency. And finally, to fix those severe privacy breaches, the solution is incredibly straightforward. Just stop sharing personal data without consent, period. Ban unsolicited messages and mandate that all campaign outreach happens through professional channels, like email, not people's personal phones. You know, in the end, the legal community is basically holding a mirror up to itself. This quote just summarizes the core takeaway perfectly. The demand is for their own institutions to finally embody the very principles of fairness, justice, and integrity that they're sworn to uphold for the rest of society. And that really leaves us with a final, vital question. This fight for a better Bar Council election is about so much more than just logistics. It's about the soul of the profession itself. Because if justice and dignity can't even be found here in their own house, then how can they be guaranteed anywhere else?